Hey, Yoda, Tinagato, hello and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program, huzzah! My name is Birdtross and this is a bit of an old series on my channel. You have to go back quite a ways if you want to see any content because I believe the last video I made was about 0.19-ish. Now we're in 0.23.5. This is actually an update that came out just this week. And it adds a whole lot of stuff to do with asteroids and asteroid recovery. They're calling it the ARM update. That was done by NASA. NASA sort of supported it. Anyway, we're not going to be covering that at all because, as I said, the last video was done in 0.19. But just something that I want to do is head into the settings menu. Now, yeah, this is a new thing here. So this is a new option. Displaying Kerbal time, 6-hour days and 426-day years. You can actually turn that off to go back to sort of what we've had in the past 24-hour days, 365. But we're going to turn that on because in reality Kerbal is actually considerably smaller than Earth and orbiting much closer to the Sun, etc, etc. So we're actually going to keep that like that. Accept button, and it brings us out back to Kerbal. Cool. Okay, so let's go ahead and hit start game. Now, I've got a couple of saves already, but they're in a sandbox mode, which is the mode that you had in 0.19. And since then, we have had career mode added to the game, which adds a whole bunch of new concepts and stuff going forward. So that is exactly what we're going to be using. We're going to go ahead and name this. Well, let's just go start with something pretty basic. With the previous ones I had Bird, Kerman, but let's just go ahead and maybe we'll throw LP on the end just to be like, let's play. In career mode, you have to manage all aspects of your space program. This mode is still under development, indeed. We can actually choose our flag as well, and I believe here it is. And a fan of mine, Jan Justus Besma, has gone ahead and made this flag for me, so we'll be using that in the episodes, I guess, in the game. So all we have to do is go ahead and hit start. Let's see what happens. We've got a loading screen. I think this loading screen was in the game when I first started. And the Space Center itself has been changed considerably since I last played. None of these models were in the game at all. You basically had this small little red building. You had maybe one satellite dish over here. The launch pad, I think that's a launch pad that I remember from something. And then the space plane hangar is all you had. Don't know what that building is. But anyway, now we've had added to the game since I played the astronaut complex and the research and development. This is going to be very important, in particular for career mode. And this thing looks a whole lot better than the small little red and white buildings that we had. They look a lot more official, and you can roll around as well. I'm pressing in the mouse wheel here. I can go ahead and move around like so. There appears to be some small graphical glitches with the stuff interacting with the Earth there. That's fine. I think this game is still in alpha, so I'm willing to forgive stuff like that. But you can actually get in pretty close here. It's almost like a toy model. I want a toy model Kerbal Space Program. Kerbal Space Center, I suppose. That'd be pretty fun. Anyway, let's zoom out. What we're going to be doing is heading very first of all over here to the research and development area. Now, I haven't had an opportunity to play with this because I've been, you know, basically in the, what is it called? Sandbox mode. So, okay, the archives, I think that's relatively new too. But yeah, so we can actually zoom in here a little bit. Oh, that's max. So if we go ahead and click on this is what we already know. That's why it's green. It says start. The technology we started out with. So we start off with a one-man command pod, a small little engine. We've got a solid fuel booster, nice. We've got a sort of a nice little fuel tank. We've got a girder. We've got a communitron. Okay, cool. And we've got a parachute. So pretty much everything you need to get started on a fledgling little space program. Now, we've got to pay attention up here as well. Science. This is what you need to get in order to progress through this tech tree. Science. We don't actually have any instruments here that allow us to get science. So the only real way that we'll be able to do that is to use crew members, Kerbals, to gather the science for us. The next tier of the tech tree requires 5 research, or we can research it with 5 science. The research will cost 5 science. There we go. And once we get that, that will allow us to gain access to these parts A, what appears to be a larger fuel tank. Is it a smaller fuel tank? Mm-hmm. Then the mystery goo containment unit, which is the first actual science doohickey. And then we get a decoupler, so it's going to be pretty cool to work towards, I would say, in this episode. So we can't actually get this yet because we're on zero science right now. Let's go ahead and hit close, head back to the Space Center. So I guess what we need to do is head over to the VAB and see if we can go about making ourselves a craft to do. So let's see, the command pod, it's the only, I guess, major thingy that we've got. And this is new in this patch as well. But go ahead and zoom into the command pod, you can see the flag is on here as well as on the wall. It looks really cool, I gotta say. Alright, oh, let's get back out. So let's get started here. Let's be safe. What we're gonna need is where are the parachutes. Here we go. So we'll go ahead and throw a parachute on the top. I'm just gonna be building this first ship in the game just like this, just in case people are new to the game. Parts are over here, and you can use these tabs to access through the different, I guess, family of parts. Over here we've got the pods, which is where this is from, and we've only got a limited number of parts, and some of these tabs don't have any parts in them at all. And we'll be getting those parts as we progress through the science tech tree. So we've got the parachute on there, so no matter what happens, we've got, I guess, a fail-safe. And then we need these things here. So we've got the solid fuel booster, an engine, and a fuel tank. And I think there's not much else that we've got here. Oh, we've got the communitron, but we don't... No, we shouldn't need that, I don't think. And we're not going to put that on the ship here, but it's like an aerial. It allows us to send our science that we've gathered back to KSC, but you'll see what happens once we actually get in game. So what we're going to have to do, I guess, is throw a fuel tank on there, and we'll probably throw... Should we put another one on? A third one? Let's do a third one. Get a bunch of fuel. Let's get an engine. So this is the first and lowest powered engine. It's not the lowest powered engine in the game. No, not by a long shot, but it's a very basic engine, as you can see. I don't think it has gimbaling. No. So this interface for this whole thing has been changed as well. This is like the third iteration of interface for these parts. And this one looks the snazziest and the coolest and the most official of all of them. Jebediah Kerman's Junkyard and Spaceship Parts Co. That's kind of cool. Okay, well that should be enough fuel to be getting on with. So let's just go ahead and name this craft. Ooh. First ever rocket. Okay, and then this is new as well for me. You can actually have this little description thingy here as well, and we're gonna say, hey, there we go. So you can have this thing here. I think that's probably going to be really useful if you use action groups or something, but the thing is, this is so simple. We don't really need action groups, and I don't even think we have launch clamps or anything, so this is it. Our first ever rocket. I guess we'll go ahead and save it. Not that there's much reason to save it. Nostalgia reasons, I suppose, for later on. Let's go ahead and take that to the launch pad. Okay, so here it is loaded on the launch pad, ready to go. Physics is in and ready. So what is going on here? Not a whole lot. Wait a second, is that flag? Is there a way to change that flag to be sort of the, I guess the, what will we call it? We'll call it the Bird Space Program logo thing, imajobly. Okay, that's not actually centered on the launchpad. That's kind of interesting. So, well, I can't actually remember exactly how to do this. You turn the SAS module on with the T button. You can toggle that, and that basically, this thing here, the nav ball, the point, the center, it'll try and keep the pointer, the center bit, exactly where it is on the nav ball, not necessarily this location. All right. you can throttle up the engine using the shift key and decelerate it, or dethrottle using the control key just below. We'll go ahead and throw that up to the top, and then all I have to do from here is actually do something like that, because otherwise our engine and the parachute would just deploy simultaneously. We cycle through these orange, I'll call them groups, using the space key. So, welcome to Kerbal Space Program in science. Now the way that we have to do this, I think, is if you just do that. Okay, I've right-clicked on the pod here and it gives us the name of it, the command pod Mark 1, operational, not enough electricity. We're out of electricity, are we? Electric charge. We're not generating any electric charge, but I don't think we're using any, or are we? Okay, I guess before we get going we'll turn that off actually. We've got control from here, which I think is what we're already doing. That's a pretty important feature for something like docking. We can rename the vessel if we want to, but we're not going to. We can toggle the torque. Okay. And a crew report. This is what I'm interested in. I'm going to go ahead and hit this button. This interface is entirely new for me. I'm only using what I've learned on YouTube videos here. So we're getting a crew report from the launch pad. You record the crew's assessment of the situation. So the data size is 5 MITs. Okay. The recovery, it's going to give us 1.5 science from the launch pad. Alright. And okay. Now that's going to give us a transmit data ratio of 100%. Which I guess is good. Yeah, okay. Now I could transmit that, but I don't have a communitron. That's what the communitron is for. If you're out in space, you can actually transmit back to the Kerbal Space Center. But we don't have any way of communicating with Kerbal Space Center on this pod. The only way to really get the science out of it is to use this recover vessel functionality, which you can use from anywhere on the surface of Kerbin. So that's going to be worth 1.5 science. So I'm going to go ahead and keep that data by hitting that key. Now, I think from here what we need to do is just hit the space bar and we should be good to go. Indeed, there's we go. We're flying up into the atmosphere. I'm actually going to throttle way down here, like keep us going kind of steadily-ish. We're a pretty good way through our fuel already. But I think from here, I'll go ahead and turn the SAS on, I know that much. Now, I should be able to, from here, do another crew report? Override existing crew report? Sure. Let's do that. Oh, okay, so yeah, that previous one was worth 1.5, and just as I suspected, this one is actually worth more, 3.5. We're actually heading down, aren't we? Yeah, okay. So that's going to be worth 3.5. That's going to be flying over Kerbin's shores. The shores look inviting, and you watch the waves roll into the coast. So that's going to be worth 3.5. Going to keep that data as well. And it looks like we're kind of just slowly decelerating here towards the surface. 800 meters. Let's shake things up a little bit. Let's tip over this way and head over to that ways. See what happens. So this is new. Well, not in this patch, but it's new for me. What you used to have to do is turn the SAS module off and then make adjustments using your WASD keys, WSAD. But now what you can do is, you know, modify it any way you want and keep the SAS on, and it'll recalibrate itself to stay to that position if I recall. Yeah, okay. At least I hope it does. Now what I'm going to do is actually dethrottle down a little bit. Let's try an interesting little challenge and see if we can land on that helipad that is on the top of the vertical assembly building where we actually assembled this guy. That'll be kind of a cool little challenge. Looks like we're going to overshoot it by quite a way actually, and we're coming down pretty hot. Oh, we're slowing down. Okay, let's keep the throttle low. Oh boy, things are happening. Oh man, almost hit the wall of the VAB. Okay, keep it low. Oh man, I'm actually flying a lot more precisely than I thought I would. We are flying a little bit off course though. So if I go ahead and, okay, it's that key. I'm just going to try and run out of fuel here. Well, my original plan was actually just to fly up into the atmosphere, but that's no fun. Let's fly to some buildings! We're flying with Jeb, by the way. Jebediah Kerman, one of the original, the big three crew members, the others being Bill and Bob. Right, now we're flying up into the air again. How are we doing on fuel? We can see up here as well. Okay, we've got 45 or 46 units left as of there. This is a pretty efficient little engine. We've got a fair amount of fuel in here. We're only very gently thrusting here. Obviously, I think I need a light, maybe a lighter craft, not necessarily, or definitely a less powerful engine, and maybe some RCS to be able to manipulate the controls a little bit better. Let's see if I can try and get a nice precise landing here. It's so hard to do because you've got to control multiple things simultaneously. Oh! Oh dear. Well, there goes the entire craft. It turns out that we didn't need that parachute at all, but okay, we're pretty much almost on the end of the text tree here for a Kerbal Space Center. But what we can do is left click. Can we left click? I thought you could left click and do that, but maybe not. I'm left clicking. Oh, here we go. Crew hatch. There we go. So you left click where it says crew hatch, and then you can take Jebediah Kerman and do EVA from here, or you can do it from the camera down here. But we'll do it from here. Just press EVA, and Jeb will get out of the command pod. So we can press F to grab this little bit of a ladder thing, and then I think it's F to board or something. But now we can use our WSAD keys and get Jeb out. I'm pressing shift to run around as well. Pretty neat stuff. But what I'm going to do is, I should be able to just click on him like this. Let's take a surface sample. The substance is what makes the scientists yell at us when we go into labs without cleaning our boots first. Mud. Surface sample from Kerbal Space Center, KSC. That is going to give us 9 science, and if we transmitted it, we'd only get 2.3 science. This is where the transmitting mechanic becomes a little bit more important. As you can see, we only get a transmission ratio of 25% from here, and that is a fair bit less than the 9 science, as you can see. So I think I'm going to set myself a little bit of an interesting challenge with this Kerbal Space Program series revival. What we're going to do is try and recover, keep our data and bring it back to Kerbal Space Center. We're going to try and recover that as much as possible and transmit as little as possible. But we also need to plan for contingencies where we won't be able to return to Kerbin, just like my previous moon mission, and yeah, put some kind of communication device on our stuff. But we'll go ahead and keep this 9 science. That'll be awesome. We should be able to take an EVA report too. I don't think the spacesuit was entirely necessary to get here, was it? EVA report from Kerbal Space Center? Absolutely not. That is going to get us 2.4 science. And if we transmitted that, we'd get the full 2.4 out of that. Go ahead and keep that too. Now I could plant a flag. Can I take another surface sample? Overwrite existing surface sample? No thank you. Okay, because it just re-gave me the option there, so I assumed that it kind of updated or something. Well, I think what I'm going to do is kind of keep the part count on this save as low as possible as well. We were leaving a lot of junk in orbit from what I recall, but I'm going to go ahead and grab this, and then we'll press the F key to board, and we'll get back inside the command pod here, and then we'll come back up here and recover the vessel. Science summary from first ever rocket. So we actually got a pretty good amount of science out of this. We got the crew report. So this is just a review of all the science that we got. We got the 3.5, 9, 2.4 plus 5. Gives us a grand total of 19 science. We got 19.9 science earned on this mission. So one shy of 20. It doesn't actually show the 19.9. It only shows full numbers here, which is actually pretty interesting. We'll go ahead and hit the done key, and then that just leaves us here in the Kerbal Space Program menu. So let's just finish off the episode by coming here to the research area, I forget what it's called, and then we'll be able to buy this, which is going to give us the mystery goo containment unit, a decoupler, as well as a couple of extra fuel tanks. How hard can rocket science be anyway? It's going to cost us 5 science. Let's go ahead and research that. So that makes this one turn green as well, and we get access to 3 new thingies. I've just realized that on the top corner of these, what would you call them? I don't know what you call them. Research? On the top of this research, there's a number here that says 333, so, and I've just realized I think that correlates to the number of parts that is available in that particular research. So we've got 3 different tiers here. We've got, what have we got? We've got general rocketry, stability, and survivability. Okay, so this is going to give us an engine, standing struts. That'll be good for landers. We've got a side parachute. Over here we've got the aerodynamic nose cone, winglets, and a radial decoupler. That is very handy. Then we've got a better engine. Okay, could go for that. We've got the Sepratron and a Rockomax BACC solid fuel booster, like a bigger solid fuel booster than what we already have. But I think we'll keep with the fuel boosters that we had for now. So what do I want to get? The radial decoupler is really nice. It'll allow us to make some very elaborate craft, even though we've only got a very limited number of parts. But these landing struts are also pretty important. All of these are going to cost 15 science. Okay, well that doesn't even matter anyway. We can't buy them anyway. And that's going to cost 20. So even if I wanted to buy this, I don't have enough science saved up. So guys, looks like we're going to need to fly another very basic mission to get just a little bit more science. Yeah, so a little bit more science to get us rolling and getting the rest of these tech tree McGubbins. But that will have to be in the next episode, guys. I hope that you enjoyed the Return to Kerbal Space Program. For those that remember, be sure to keep watching for more elaborate missions moving forward as we unlock more parts and endeavour to just leave Kerbal Space Center. Thank you very much for watching. Kia kaha, and I will see you in the next video.